Hey everybody, how's it going?
Hey, folksters, welcome back. So, this is the episode after we had some good news about the Wall Street Journal, and we were actually featured in the Wall Street Journal.
Yep.
And we had a boost, but we didn't really have a huge boost, I would say. We had about maybe $5,000 come in from our test page for Republic, but that's because I don't think the test page is quite ready yet. We don't have the video yet,
Okay.
but we basically will have that video ready by the end of the week. We actually have it done, finalized. And then once we have the video, then we basically put the video onto the page, and then we have to follow some compliance to get the legal requirements, and then we'll be available for you guys to invest in on Republic.com. So that's the next step. So welcome back to the show. What with the Phuc? Hopefully you guys are regulars here because I'm guessing there's only people who are regulars here watching the show. I
At
think
this
the number is
point,
like 16 right now. 16 people like
I can
religiously
check.
watch it. So my mom and like the five other people I know and maybe some
Yeah,
random
well,
other.
well, I feel like
Yeah.
it depends on the episode because I mean, like, there's some episodes that are like last one had about 6, 11, then there's like the other one had like 30. So it does like it's just very random. Who
It's
knows?
okay. I mean, I'm not doing this for you guys. I'm doing this I'm lazy to write my own diary, and I don't want to pay for a psychiatrist to do like therapy. So me and you, we're just kind of at a bar,
Exactly,
we're just
just
hanging
hanging
out,
out.
and we're talking some random stuff, and just kind of filling each other in. But also, we're working on our businesses, as you know, we're working on Phuc Labs and Mass Realty. And just to let you know, the Phuc Labs software is completely done.
Awesome.
So I will show Roberto software later, maybe kind of secretly, because I don't want to show this to the audiences.
Ooh,
We do have some secret IP I want to protect.
of course.
But what I did was for the
Secret sauce,
last
man.
3 months, I busted my ass and I coded the whole thing myself. 100%, it's all me. Like basically,
Nice.
the whole thing was I had a falling out with the software team. It didn't work out with the folks I tried to hire. I didn't do a good job. It's my fault. It wasn't good chemistry, and I decided I have to do this myself. And for the last 3 months, I have been coding my ass off. Very similar to when I coded my ass off in 2016. 2016 when I started my last company, Clinical Research IO, the T-shirt you see here. And the reason I'm showing this T-shirt is, as you may know during the show, I became a millionaire because of this company. And I recently got a update from the company, and the company is doing very well. We
Awesome.
just crossed the 10 million barrier,
Man,
and so we're going to make $10 million a year moving forward.
that's
And
amazing.
we've grown to we've grown to a lot of employees. We since I was there, we grew 4 times the number of
Yeah.
employees when I left the company,
And how long?
and that was 2 years ago only.
Okay.
So
That's
I left the
crazy.
company actually 2.5 years ago. I left the company in March,
Okay.
February, March of 2020, February of 2020 actually, and then COVID happened. And the
Yeah, that
adventure
kind
so
of
far,
messed
this is
up
what this
everything, yeah.
podcast is about.
Yeah.
And it's been working out good and bad, the roller coaster ride of a startup. And this is a reality show in real life where this is really happening, guys. This is a real fundraise I'm doing where
Yeah.
you guys can participate and put money into this fundraise. But also, you can see from what it takes. So the number of employees at Phuc Labs is quite substantial. We have about 8 employees now. Eight
Yeah.
employees. But Clinical Research IO, my last company, we have almost 10 times as much.
Okay.
So
Yeah, it's quite the
yeah,
crew.
so that happened. That happened in about 5 years of hard work. We're 2 years into I would say 2 years into Phuc Labs, and then Mass Realty has kind of been like struggling along, kind of like in and
It
out of
fluctuates, man.
being.
Like, yeah. Well, the thing is that, like, it does fluctuate a little bit, but the ones that are there are solid. We've been like the ones for like a while. But it's the hiring people and then the budgeting issues and all the bunch of things that makes it a bit more complicated.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's basically up to us.
Mm-hmm.
So when I went to my roots with the software team,
Yeah.
I got my mojo back because I'll be
Awesome.
honest with you, for the last since I resigned, COVID affects everybody differently, and I was going through some
Yes.
some issues with my personal and my business life because I had resigned from a company. I was making
Yeah, yeah.
money, and I was unemployed during COVID, and I was trying to transition, and I had sold some shares of my last company, Clinical Research IO, to kind of fund it, and I had lost, a lot of time and effort going through this process to try to build a team and stuff. And then when I decided to kind of go and just do it on my own on some of these, not all aspects, because I think the team was definitely very valuable. For example, the hardware team at Phuc Labs, they kick ass. The business team, they kick ass. The people at the lab, they kick ass. So I don't have to do anything. So sometimes it's kind of like a band or like a piece of art. I feel like I'm an artist. And sometimes you just go sit down and you just lay down tracks and it just works. And it's like the best work of your life. And then the album is just rock solid. And that's what Phuc Labs kind of became, right? Phuc Labs is a well-oiled machine, except there was one track that wasn't working. And that track was a software track, right? The hardware track was working. The chemistry track was working. The business track was working. We maybe the fundraising track wasn't going so great because we didn't fundraise, and timing wasn't so great for us in terms of fundraising because the nuclear apocalypse of VC, economic downturn. We hit the downturn at the worst time when VC stopped funding more companies, and basically we basically are at the worst time to get money from large institutional investors, large checks, large VCs. So we basically said, hey, let's go to Republic, which was on a bucket list anyway. And we are halfway through the Republic process where we made a video. We have clients that are paying us now. We're collecting the check from a real substantial project, right?
Yeah,
So,
like real people.
yeah,
Real people see value in the product, and then they're actually like putting their money behind it, and they're using it, and it's working.
yeah. And I just finished coding the software myself personally. And I didn't realize how proud I would be, but I'm pretty damn proud because I'm like,
It's your
'cause
baby,
the
man.
thing is about being a leader is this: you have to make tough calls, very, very, very tough calls sometimes.
Yeah.
Difficult decisions have to be made. For example, what would you do with a weak song on an album? What would you start over, or would you just keep grinding and make that song better? And I said, let's just start over. Let's follow my gut, and let me just lay down this track myself. Right? No producers, no editors, no songwriters, no one else. Just lay this track myself. Just go back to my roots, because if this company fails, if we fail, it'll be failing because of me, because I can't code. I can't play guitar. I can't write down a good song. I'm no longer a good artist. I can't paint the Mona Lisa anymore. But that's not what's happening. What's happening was I lost why I was so good, I think, or just generally like how one becomes good.
Yeah.
One becomes good, like generally, like I'm not sure how you got good, but I got good because I was just sitting there honing my
Practicing.
craft for a long time, mostly by myself, really, with like a few really, 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 really core people I worked with. But I'm not sure about you, Roberto, but that's how art is done. What do you think?
I do actually. The thing is that like a bunch of people think that yes, there are gifted people, but it still comes down to grinding and putting it in, like putting all the work in and sitting down and understanding things and getting through these concepts. And I think that where all these like gifted or virtuosos or whatever they are come in, and what they is that they understand things better in an easier way. But it's still you still have to go through the work. You just go through it faster if you're really, really like gifted or good at something and you have talent. But it still comes down to like
feel like
sitting
it's
down
not
and
a group
grinding.
effort. I'm just saying, like,
Oh.
what I'm trying to say is it's not a group effort. It's a single individual sitting there looking into their soul and writing a song that is
Yeah.
about something very personal. And I think same thing with a book. If you write a book like J.K. Rowling, Harry Potter, she's sitting in a cafe, dead broke, and she's writing this fairy tale about wizards. And she hopes that this book is going to make it big. And her writing in this coffee shop is just as romantic as the actual book is going to be. Like her dreams are encapsulated in Harry Potter, the character.
But you got lucky
Does that
though on
make
this
sense?
ones. No, it does. Like I understand like the fact that you're putting a lot into your work, but then there's like I don't know, like Guardians of the Galaxy. they became big because they were cheap and they were like pretty good characters to have, and then they put money into them and made them popular, which is what you see with like all these gigantic corporations like Disney and Marvel. So they
There's
grab
room
whatever.
for taking something and making Guardians of the Galaxy something different from Stan Lee's creation, right? So I've definitely Stan Lee is, I would say, is my hero. I would say if you ask me who my hero, there are two heroes. I would say Stan Lee and Einstein, Tesla maybe, right? And Jesus and God, that stuff. Like all the spiritual beings out there. But in terms of like humans, right? I would say those are great. And
It was
Stan Lee
actually
in
like
particular.
Stan Lee. I don't think Stan Lee did these guys. It was Gene Colan and Arnold something, and they're the ones that brought that like made these. So
Understood, but
that's why they were.
it
Yeah.
wasn't the making. It was the vision of what comic books could be. Comic books
Yeah, maybe.
could be
Uh-huh.
a story about humanity, and I would say Stan Lee was an evangelist and a religious figure, just as much as the Mormon Church, in terms of like the books that they write, the Mormon books, right? He's basically a modern day prophet, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Where
no, he definitely created a cult.
Yeah, so let me
Like,
ask you a couple questions, right? So remember,
for sure.
I remember a long time ago when the Beatles got big. Remember the
Yes,
Beatles?
I remember
John
that.
Lennon, John Lennon was on a show, a show about just basically famous people, and I think it was it was one of the not David Letterman, but the David Letterman of the time, Johnny Carson, or one of the shows back then.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Back then, and
Like in
he
the
said
States?
that they were bigger than Jesus, the Beatles.
Okay.
That the Beatles at that time were bigger than Jesus. And he might have been right because when they got off planes and stuff, girls kind of surrounded them and all
Yeah.
that stuff, right? And let me ask you a question though, right? Would the Beatles be around in 1,000 years in terms of the memory of the Beatles?
I think yes, actually. Like out of nostalgia and some sort of like people have this tendency to not want to let go of their stuff. And at least in like my situation, I've passed on most of my music to my daughter. So it does carry on. It does live on. There's
Yeah.
not that big of a machinery behind it, like the church, but it's still there. And I feel that that has more value than having a huge corporation pushing for you all the time.
So that's what John Lennon was saying. He was basically saying, look, music transcends time. And my music is also a story, an idea,
Yeah.
thoughts, an image of an emotion
Yeah.
that I had at that point or a
Emotion.
story
Yeah.
I had at that point. And that's what he was saying. He's saying Jesus is a story, is an emotion. It's a feeling of gratitude for being on earth and trying to figure out a story of making sense of this earth and who came before you, and maybe making some community around that with the church and all that stuff. But so is Stan Lee. Stan
Yeah.
Lee is a story maker. He creates stories of heroes, and these heroes have values, just like Jesus has values. Jesus has values of, if someone hits you, what do? You turn
Hit
the other
them back
cheek.
harder. Hit them back harder.
No, you turn. Yeah, well, that's what people used to do. People used to turn and hit the person
Yeah.
back once someone hit them, and that was basically,
Yes.
the Muhammad, right? Muhammad was like, whatever it is, like it's for an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, whatever it is,
Yep.
the honorable way, the way of honor. The way of honor is if you murder somebody, we'll murder you back. Right?
It's
It was a
karma.
way to basically
Action
have
reaction.
justice. It was these justice warriors. So before Jesus came, the story was about justice. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And when
yeah.
Jesus
But I
came,
feel like
he-
it was really like a physics approach, though. I mean, like there's an action and there's a reaction to it.
No, it was evolution. It was basically, there are two types of evolution.
Okay.
Evolution itself has a collaborative aspect to it. And there's also an individual aspect to it. For example, we're collaborating together, but we're also individually competing in terms of, like, let's say, reproduction. So we're competing individually because you can marry only one person, hopefully, or two people or five people, whatever, six people. But you usually,
Go to jail, man.
you usually, try to mate with somebody that you like, and then
Yeah.
you basically pick that one individual, and then you basically compete with others to get that individual. It's a competition. But you collaborate with others to create big things that help you as an individual
Yeah.
only if you collaborate. So collaboration is an individual thing, but it's more of an individual thing that has a long-term view.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
yeah.
And
So
to achieve bigger goals as well.
cavemen
Yeah.
would have short-term view where I would hit you over the head and I would steal all your food right now,
Yeah.
because that's
Yeah.
instant gratification. That's what our teenagers have.
Yeah.
Right? Our
Yeah.
kids have. I want to get this right now,
Man. Like
or
now.
I can get this much later. But what's the benefit of waiting, killing this person? Maybe this person can benefit me by maybe trading with this person instead. So instead
Yeah.
of stealing
Or
their
having
food,
them-
I have this necklace that I've been wearing, but I don't like the necklace. It's kind of itchy. I've been hunting with this necklace. It's kind of itchy, but it's
Yeah.
kind of sparkly. And this person seems to like it, so let's trade. And all of a
Exactly,
sudden, we
here.
become friends, and we collaborate.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like that's how they used to do it. Like you get like a bigger haul if there's a bunch of you guys.
Yeah.
I was reading this book. Can't remember the name about it, but it was like about the importance of gossip, actually, throughout like history, and how gossip it turned into a bad thing, but it was actually super useful back in the days because you would know exactly who's reliable and who isn't.
Yes,
So, like-
but also gossip
Yeah.
tells you what story is the most viral.
Yeah.
So let's say
Yeah, what are
let's say
people-
you start with something that's kind of nice, kind of like 5 out of 10 interesting. Like, oh my God, this person kissed this person. And then you layer on that something that's more exciting. Oh, this person kissed this person somewhere. That's exciting. Then
Yeah,
you
this
add
person's
layer a little
married.
complication. Oh, this person kissed this person, but there's a third person. And the story becomes a narrative that takes a life form of its own, but it's also very useful
Yeah.
because that's a narrative that humans want to hear.
Yeah, no,
It's a
definitely.
narrative that seems exciting.
Like the way like the book portrays it is like a bunch of like cavemen or like people trying to make a group to go hunting, and they get like I don't know Peter, John, and Henry, and then John is like, man, like I heard Henry is not reliable. He will not show up. Okay, let's replace Henry and have somebody else, and that way they built like a solid group that would actually be there and have like and go through with whatever they offered or their word.
Exactly. So that's
And-
the whole
and
point of
and maybe
collaboration.
they
But
can-
it's based on trust, like you just said. It's based on
Yes.
collaboration and something called honor. So
And you
honor
have a
came
solid
out
group,
of the
and from them you
collaboration.
can do anything. Yeah.
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 So you
Yeah.
have honor, I have honor, and if you find that you work with someone who doesn't have honor, what would happen to that person?
Disappointing. Yeah, yeah. They're like you. I feel like when you have somebody in the team that is not working properly, and you see everybody else pulling the load except him, it's just it brings the whole team down.
Right. So sometimes you create these teams that have honor. You have 4 people with honor, and you have the Knights of the Round Table, and you're all set. Sometimes you go recruiting for the team that you want, but then you end up making mistakes, and maybe it's your fault, maybe it's their fault, maybe it's no one's fault, maybe it's just the frequencies aren't matching. So at that point, you just say, you know what, as a leader, you have to roll up your sleeves, and instead of having a band play a song on this track, I'm going to write a solo where I just go on my guitar and play, or whatever, go on my piano and play, and just carry this for a little bit. Because the idea
Yeah,
is you
yeah.
don't want this album to die. You want this group to live, because it's not just about you. It's not about the software team. It's about the track that's going to make the whole album work out. Because there are people on the hardware team, the chemistry team, the business team, they work really hard. And as a leader, you're not going to fail them, because you are supposed to run this team and you are accountable. So, one of the terms we have here at Phuc Labs, and just Phuc.net and Master Uti and anything I do, is you have freedom for accountability. Again, you can be free to do what you want and how you want to do it, as long as you say what you say and you promise what you promise and you do what you do and you're honorable and you're accountable. And I was accountable, saying, Phuc Labs, the software is going to be super awesome, super amazing, where we can follow the track of the particle as these particles go down the tube. So just to remind you guys, Phuc Labs, we invented something called the vision valve. And the vision valve is the ability to use a computer, to use AI, to use something called hydrorobotics, to track a package along water, because water is your conveyor belt. And these packages are these particles that you're trying to extract out of the water. And we are actually able now with the software to track that particle, like UPS, all the way from the factory and the wholesaler or wherever they made that, or whether they shipped that package, all the way to the airport, all the way to this part of the valve, all the way to this part of the valve, all the way to this part of the valve, down the valve, and as it goes up or down or left or right, wherever we move it using our hydrorobotics, we can actually see it in action, in real life. Like I can actually see a camera photo of the package, just like you would on an app, on a mobile
Yep.
phone.
Yeah.
Even better, because on an app you can't even see it in transit. We can actually see this in transit. You can see it on GPS. You know, some of but this is live with a camera
Yeah, no, like while you're looking at it.
using AI, and the AI is going to tell you, hey, this is what I see. Here's a report of what I see, and it works. And the lab folks are using it every day. And not only that, but there's a whole workflow behind that. There's a whole ability to go ahead and, okay, I found something that I haven't identified very well. Let me mark that for future work. So the software lets you mark things for future work. It lets you
Okay.
move things. So I'll just give you a little bit kind of update on how computer vision works, because it's actually very interesting. So think of this way, guys. AI and computer vision and everything related to it, it's like a new calculator. Remember the calculator that you got in high school called the TI-80? You remember the TI-80 back in the 90s or back then?
I think it did. Yeah, like those scientific ones.
Yes, the scientific calculators. So what? Yeah. Do you remember what the scientific calculators? Why were they different from regular calculators?
Because they had all the sine, cosine, they had parentheses, they had like exponents, like all these things. They were actually pretty cool.
Yeah. So you basically
And then there was the one that was above that one, like they could do graphs.
you can do graphs. You can use it to do some small amounts of macros and programming, but it let you do basically calculus. It let you do advanced math, and in particular sine, cosines, and calculus and stuff like that. And
They were
you know,
huge.
all those things, imaginary numbers. Even I believe even had like some stuff like that.
Yeah. You can go into the negative aspect and everything. Like it was actually nice.
So it supercharged you, but that was a learning curve, wasn't it? There was a little learning
Yeah, no,
curve.
definitely. You had like I remember that it came with like a little manual of like how to use this thing first.
And same thing with, let's say, typewriters. So back then, when you had typewriters, I remember a long time ago when I first used a typewriter, the electronic typewriters, not the mechanical ones, because the mechanical ones are even worse.
Okay.
The electronic ones,
I
you would
hated
type
those.
something, and if you actually made a mistake, when you hit the delete button, there was actually a whiteout thing that was just backwards, like automatically to white it out, and there was like basically a manual whiteout to delete something on a
That's
typewriter.
awesome.
And when you type something, it would actually like go ahead and do the typewriter motion for you in terms of digital. But literally, it was really janky because there was an opposite of something like, let's say there was an R, there was an opposite of the R to delete the R with whiteout essentially.
Man, that's crazy. I used to have the manual one.
But it was better
At
than
some point, like, there
writing
was
on a
something
piece
like
of paper. Okay, so with every generation,
Yeah, no.
there's a tool that you have to learn. That's kind of hard, like typing. Do you type with 10 fingers?
I do type with 10 fingers actually because all those like little video games we used to have at school because we used to have the PCs and then it was like a Mario 1 where like the Mario would go across the screen, but he wouldn't move unless you typed the right letter, and at the bottom you had like little fingers, so it would like highlight what finger to use for what letter. So that's how you got into like to get Mario going across the screen.
And yes, exactly. And you can also go online right now. That's how my kids learned how to type. I said, go online, Google typing lessons, and you have these websites where you just like you said the colors would turn on, and use this finger and move it this way, and there'll be like a overlaid finger that's kind of translucent. You can see through it, and you say, oh, you're supposed to move it this way. And over the course of time, you became good at typing because that's a fundamental skill for an electronic
It's super
world.
important. I remember like even my grandfather used to have a school here, like it was just a primary school, like from grade 1 to 6. And back in the days, like I was a kid, I'm 37 now, and you would see all the kids come up like one day to typewriting class, and they had like all their like manual typewriters, and you would have to like key in everything. And at some point during the year, they would. You remember like those stickers, like the circular ones? You would put that over each letter, so you just had to know where it was, and just went typing. But it was a specific like class that was taught.
Yes, same thing with like a lot of the stuff that's happening today, in terms of for example, driving. Like you actually have to learn how to drive. This is a machine that was invented how long ago? Like 100 years ago, and you have to learn how to drive this machine. It's kind of complicated. There's some rules, there's some regulations, there's some laws you have to follow. Then you have to learn a little bit of math to know like speed limits, a little bit of math in terms of like how do you know from latitude to longitude in terms of looking at a map. Maybe a small amount of math in terms of how much you have to pay for like fees, stuff like that in terms of speeding tickets. But the idea is with every generation, there's a new technology that comes along that you're gonna have to spend a little bit of time to master, to take advantage of it and join the world of race cars. If you want to race cars, you better learn how to drive.
Yeah.
Right? If you want to,
cars have been around for about 130 years.
Yeah, if you want to race electronic cars and do Mario Brothers and do Mario Kart like you're doing, you better learn how to type keyboards. But
and it was fun.
Yeah, and so to join the race, to join the game for computer vision, you guys spend some time just looking up some technology. And the vendor we use is called RoboFlow. Shout out to RoboFlow. RoboFlow kicks ass.
Hey, RoboFlow.
Because they are basically they're basically the calculator for an online version of computer vision, where anybody can go to their website, upload a bunch of pictures, and let's say I have a photo of you, right? Can you do a thumbs up for me right now? Okay, so I see in front of me, you're doing a thumbs up, and you have 2 thumbs up. Okay, can you do 1 thumbs up or thumbs down? That's a different picture, right? Okay, so literally, you know how hard it is to use this calculator? It's not that hard at all. You know what he just did? He just had 2 photos, 3 photos. I could take a bunch of photos of him, of Roberto putting his thumbs up, a bunch of photos of Roberto putting his thumbs down, and make 2 photos. How hard is that? Can you do that, Roberto?
Yeah, it's very easy.
Now that's step 1, is figure out what you want to know. You want to know, are you having your thumbs up or thumbs down? Okay? And if you want, you can make a 3rd photo. A third photo set, a 3rd photo, where you have 2 thumbs up. So you can say, 2 thumbs up, 1 thumb up, 1 thumb down, or 2 thumbs down, and make 4 photos. And you can name the photos anything you want. You can name it 2 thumbs up, 1 thumb up, 1 thumb down, 1 thumb, 2 thumbs down, whatever you want to name it. And literally you upload that into RoboFlow. And then out comes a single file, okay? This file is basically your model, your neural network model. But you can think of it as an Excel file. It's like an Excel file. You've used Excel before, right?
Yeah. I'm not good at it. Like I've seen people that are amazing at Excel. I didn't know you could do
Think
stuff
of an Excel file you can't open. You can't open it.
Okay.
But you have this special software. You can't see inside it, but you can use it. You can say, I take this file, and I'm going to give it a photo. I'm going to give a photo of you right now, and this file, combined with this other software, together, it's almost like you have this, like a computer, like a calculator, right? You have a new calculator, which is this computer vision software package, right? And you have the file, right, that activates it for the specific application, right? That's called the model. It's like opening a file and opening a specific app or opening a specific file on a computer, right? And saying, using this calculator, take this calculator, using this information, using this model, now you have the ability to predict the future or predict the photo that in front of you, which is the present, right? So take the photo that you want, and then I'll tell you which one of those photos it belongs to. That's it. That's pretty much it.
Okay.
So let's say I give a photo of you right now. Okay. I write the model, and now go ahead and do a thumbs up or down randomly. Thumbs up. Right? You just did a thumbs up. Do another one. Okay. 2 thumbs up. Okay. So literally I'm a human. I saw Roberto had 1 thumbs up, and I responded, 1 thumbs up. Then I saw Roberto had 2 thumbs up. And then I said 2 thumbs up. And that's exactly what the AI will return to you. So when you show this photo, or even you show the video of Roberto just sitting there, or just look at me, it'll say, nope, there's nothing going on. But the minute that your thumb goes up, go ahead, put your thumb up. It will start seeing it. And not only it will start seeing it the minute you put it into the screen.
Okay. And then it pops out that information.
And then the minute you remove it from the screen, it'll say, I don't see anything. And that's how simple it is.
Okay.
So it's a simple calculator. And the calculator needs some data. It needs some information. It needs you to give it some photos. So imagine you just Instagramming your friend. And your friend says, hey, give me Instagrams of your vacation. Give me some photos of your food. And then label the food. Hey, I'm eating some lobster rolls. Yeah, in Boston, lobster rolls, right? Or you're doing some sushi. And imagine that you go to Instagram, and now Instagram has a photo of everyone there saying sushi, and photo of sushi.
Okay.
Now Instagram controls all the data that everyone contributed to humanity for free. So you went to Instagram for free.
Oh, yeah.
And you gave Instagram about $1 trillion worth of data.
That's crazy. Man.
Or Facebook.
No, it is in the user agreement, though, that nobody reads.
No, but you don't understand your power. What you just gave them
Oh, yeah.
was
Yeah.
what you just gave them was they have a calculator, but the calculator is useless without the data.
Yeah.
Now everyone else has a calculator. I have the calculator, but I don't have the Facebook data, do I?
Instagram.
I don't have the Instagram data, do I? Only they do. And do they have to pay for the data?
Yeah, and no, you just hand it over, and you get those likes.
And knowing that, but they monetize you from ads from the same data they collect from you.
Yeah.
Now, do you think? Okay, let me
kinda
ask you a
depressing.
question. Do you think the Instagram folks are smart, or do you think they just use a calculator? It's a pretty easy calculator. The calculator says, this is sushi. Then you have a monkey, you have a human, you have an intern. You verify it's true. And they're called data scientists. Those guys get paid hundreds of thousands of dollars. That's all they freaking do. They label images. I'm serious. These guys at Google and Facebook and Instagram, they get paid $500,000, $300,000, $200,000 to be computer vision specialists. A computer vision specialist, literally all they do all day is they look at the Instagram photos and they say, okay, this person correctly said that this is sushi. That matches sushi. Let's put that into the sushi bucket. And they just think of creative ways to use a calculator that every one of you can do right now by going to roboflow.com for free and learn how to do it. But not only that, but you can do other things.
Yeah,
Right?
like the intelligence part is in the creation of the calculator, not in using it.
It's
per se.
It's actually three things. It's knowledge that the calculator even exists. You don't know what you don't know.
Exactly.
That's number one. Okay. Now you know that.
I like blow your mind right now, people.
Number two is getting off your ass. Getting off your ass. Okay. So knowing what you don't know, right? And knowing that there's potential value. That's not just potential value, but
Look,
indescribable value.
step one is a tricky one, though.
Well, that's why you listen to the show. So smart people say smart things, and hopefully other smart people copy them. But a lot of other smart people, they don't do it. They don't get off their butt. That's the second thing.
Yeah.
Okay. And the third thing is, what are you going to do with it? There's a creative aspect to any art, any
It's like,
tool.
now you have it. Then what?
If I give you a paintbrush, are you going to become Leonardo da Vinci? If I give you a keyboard, will you become the best coder ever? Because I gave you a keyboard. I gave you a tool. What's inside you allows you to take that samurai sword and become a samurai. Otherwise, you're just going to cut your hand off.
Exactly. Or become like a butcher. Like, there you go. Like, you just had the tool, you used it in a way, but like it wasn't really meant for this.
Maybe you
But
cut
sure.
your friend's hand off and then you kill your kids by accident and you murder-suicide.
Yeah, like there you go. Like, well, you're using it what it's meant for, but I mean, like,
So
not
it's
like
dangerous.
this.
Sometimes
Like, there's ways of
sometimes
doing
it's dangerous.
things.
But,
Yeah, definitely. Like, some people should not be like, not everybody should have these tools.
correct. So that's what I'm trying to say now. Okay, so in a world in a world where you need to collaborate is when you don't have these tools. You don't have these tools where the software team that Phuc Labs needed a bunch of people to do a lot of work. And I knew that we needed a lot less people. That's why I was trying to build a small team and teach them all that stuff. I didn't realize how lean
Okay.
it could be until I actually did it myself. So in 3 months, I built something that normally would take 3 years. Okay. Because the number one thing, I know what I don't know, meaning I've done everything in terms of coding, every aspect of coding, front end, back end, web services, building servers, all that stuff. So that question mark goes away for someone like me. I'm trying to explain to you the difference between a coder that's okay and an amazing coder is about 100 times the difference. Whereas a mechanic is only about
the
20
gap.
times better. A coder is like a magician. The best magician is 1,000 times or a billion times or indescribably better than an amateur magician, like magician at all. Like, so for example, like someone who just started practicing magic is not even close to David Blaine or Houdini, right?
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
level of difference is the same in coding. But let me explain to you why you have that level of difference and how you get to that level of difference. So the number one thing that people say is you have to focus and specialize. Be good at one thing. Did anyone ever tell you that?
Yeah. Well, yeah, no, definitely. Like in animation, it's usually jack of all trades, master of none.
So yeah. So you
So the fact that
you
you
don't want to specialize, right?
the fact that you can do no, like you, well, it depends on what your goal is. Like if you want to be like within, like a lot of people, like I've met a lot of people that are in different aspects within their life. And in animation, there's some things like you said you can't teach. Like how do you teach feel? It just feels wrong, so you fix it. But other people are just don't get it. Like what does that even mean? Or like it just is. And sometimes if your goal is to have your own thing, then you have to be a jack of all trades.
Yeah, but I think
If you
I
want to
think
be
different.
a
I think it's
piece,
different. Okay, so just think about like when you were a caveman,
yeah,
you needed to know how to hunt, how to maybe
yeah,
farm, how to fish, how to create shelter. You had to have many skills. And through
yes,
evolution, because of collaboration, the individual had to specialize because you were working with other people. Now, when you work with other people, the collaboration is very important, but it also slows you down because the communication has to increase and the trust factor has to increase between you and the next person. And when the trust factor and the communication go haywire, which is what happened to us, then the whole system breaks down and it doesn't even work at all. Does that make sense?
yeah. Regardless of the, yeah, it does because it won't work regardless of the talent of the people involved.
So let's say the whole internet goes down. What are you gonna do? Well, you're gonna have to manually code, or you can code your head and do that stuff. But there's a special way you do individually, and then individually, you can basically do great things. And that's what I'm trying to say. I'm saying, as an artist, as a person who has accomplished a lot in terms of team and individual, I want to give you some insight that I just found out myself, and a little epiphany, right? So the epiphany was I tried to do a team approach first, and you always try to do that. And I would continue to do the same thing, team approach, for any project I do. But the next time, I wouldn't do it for something super new. I would do a team approach for things that are actually known. Okay? So, for example, the hardware team at Phuc Labs is actually known what they need to do. It's very clear.
Okay, yeah,
Okay. The software side, not so clear. Same thing with master routine, not so clear. It's in someone's head, and
Okay.
in my
Like
head,
it's
it
like-
might be different from your head, might be different from your head, because we're trying to invent a new invention, something that was never ever real in the first place. We're trying to invent a unicorn, let's say. Your version of a unicorn is different from my version of a
Yeah.
unicorn. My unicorn is bigger. My unicorn is pink. Your unicorn is blue. Your unicorn has a long horn. My unicorn has a spiral horn. Your unicorn has I don't know, diamond eyes. I have no idea. But it's a unicorn, it's great. We all have a vision. We all call it a unicorn, but it's very different.
Yeah.
And whereas you say, well, I need you to build me a circle that is red. It's very easy to explain, and you can have a team deliberate and build that circle that's red any way that makes sense scientifically,
Yeah.
all that stuff. But
Yeah.
it's easy. It's easy to do, right?
Like, yes. And worst case, like the red is going to be off by a little bit, and that's
So
it.
what I tried to do, I think in the past, I think this is an epiphany I had recently, was I was trying to fit that first move into a group setting. I was trying to do a square shape into a round, hole, basically. That analogy. You're basically trying to take something because you mean well. Because spiritually, it feels right. Spiritually, it feels like to collaborate, to give opportunities to younger people, to maybe train someone to be better for themselves and for you and the team as a long-term investment, to mentor someone, to do all this stuff.
But that comes back to like, just like make a little parenthesis here. It comes back to the honor.
No, but it's not honor.
people don't give a shit.
But let's say you
Like-
have to go fight Darth Vader.
Yeah, but not everybody wants to share that
But
information.
I'm just saying some battles.
Like, and the fact that you want to mentor.
I'm saying some battles
Yeah.
are fighting Darth Vader, and you just can't have Luke Skywalker have a focus group. Figure out
Like,
what
show
moves
up
to
on his
make to
own,
fight
yeah.
Darth Vader. You have to have Darth Vader.
Like,
You have to
there
go
you
out. A hero has to exist. King Arthur has to,
Like, good luck, kid.
to win and take out the stone. King Arthur has to win the throne, all that stuff. And then King Arthur can create the round table afterwards. And that was my missing part of my plan. Does that make sense? And
No,
I
but
think I had this
like you
epiphany
explained.
recently because when I did this Phuc Labs thing where I took the reins and I tried to be King Arthur, I tried to be the hero and the samurai and all that, to go on a mission to just because it was like a revenge. It was like I was trying to clear my name. I was trying to clear my name
Okay.
that I know what I'm talking about for software, that this transition was something that was right, and I was so focused on pride and making sure we did a good job, because also not letting down my teammates, being accountable, that I got my mojo back. I got my mojo back that I didn't realize I'd even lost. And let's go to woo, right? At the end, I like to go to woo, right? So why did I lose my mojo? I lost my mojo because I was mad at God. I was mad at life. Because I realized that, when I resigned at Clinical Research IO, my company, we were supposed to sell the company. And we were supposed to
Okay.
cash out. And that was supposed to be the reward for being a good person, working hard, kicking butt, never being lazy, showing up at 9, 10, working a good 8 hours. And you're supposed to get bought out, and then COVID happened. It didn't, and it still might work out. But damn, I'm going on strike.
Yeah.
I remember even thinking about I'm going on strike with God. I'm going on strike with life. This is bullshit.
It is bullshit because of the stories you get told throughout your life that if you work hard, everything's gonna be fine. And it's not true, man.
Yeah, and but I was always the positive person because I was the leader. I was always the CEO, the head of the team,
Yeah.
and I had to be the positive, fake positive, real positive. It doesn't matter. It had to be positive. And at some point, I had a breaking point, and I said, "I'm done. I'm not going to code anymore. I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to do as much as I can. I'm going to keep doing all that stuff. I'm going to be open to new ideas and all that stuff, but I'm not going to code anymore because I need to move on because this thing is a dead end. It's a dead end because I need to run a company. I need to be the manager. I need to build a group. I need to build a group because maybe before I wasn't collaborating, before I wasn't doing
Okay.
a good job building a team, and then I went into this saying, "Hey, look, I'm talented, but the coding thing has to stop because I need to build the team first and think about myself and my talent, and maybe be less arrogant about how awesome I am and all that stuff because maybe it got to my head how good I am." But then I realized that I am freaking
The ego is
like Michael Jackson. I'm like, or like Eric Clapton, or a good artist. When they know they're good, YouTube. I realize, what the hell is wrong with me? Why am I going to karaoke hour? Why am I going to karaoke hour? And I basically said, I'm just going to rate my next great album, because that's what I did with Clinical Research IO. And I left to go
Okay.
solo. I left to go solo because I had a lot in me that I wanted to say, and I didn't want to be held back by people who weren't brave enough to do the ideas I want to do. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that way.
So I thought about it some more, and I said, look, if I want a brave battle into a new frontier, why would I throw other people under the bus? That's the other perspective. Now I realize, like, I'm throwing other people under the bus to conquer a new land where I should have been leading the charge by myself. And then once I kind of have an idea, once I get that sword, Excalibur, once I won some battles and proved myself and built a reputation, once I had a core foundation of what I want to do and knew how I want to do this castle right there and build that, and I can have all these people in the round table, all these knights, and these knights can do these tasks and these missions. Once I'm ready to build Camelot, that's a second stage, but that can't be the first stage.
True. Yeah. You need to like set things up before.
Not always.
Since it's
Not always.
new,
If you knew,
no, like
if
in
you
this
know
aspect
exactly
right
that
now,
you
when
had
it's
to build
something
something,
new,
and you had to build a castle, and exactly in that spot, you can hire those contractors right then. But you're still roving the land about where to put the castle, and like, hey, I want castle. You even know what kind of castle you want. You want the glass castle, or the brick castle, or the high tech castle, or whatever, the invisible castle.
Since what you were doing was like new, yeah. Since what you were doing was really new, it was like you had to set up some parameters beforehand, like everything first, and that's when you go in.
But I also was wrong about a second thing. I knew that would be easy with technology, but it's actually even easier. So in 3 months, right? Because it wasn't just technology; it was because the know-how. Like I said, I knew exactly how to lay down that track. I knew how to put the bass. I knew how to put the guitar. I knew how to write the song. I knew how to market it. I knew how to distribute it on Spotify. I knew how to collect merchandise sales. I knew how to do all those because I had done all those things for a while, and I was focused on that for a while, but then focused on something else for a while. But I was also focused on the big picture, which is how do you see the smiley face? Because everybody sees one dot on a drawing, but I see all the dots, okay? And I remember that as an artist, Renoir, right? You know Renoir, right? It's the real, the pixel art where they just do dots, and all those dots close up. They don't mean anything, but you look far away, your eyes make them look into an image.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I.
Sure. For sure. Yeah, go ahead, talk about it. So yeah, the importance of seeing the bigger picture of everything helps a lot because you kind of know what the goal is going to be, especially when you're trying to build something. If you're trying to build something, having like where you want to go and then figuring out the steps to get there is very, very important. And once you get that map kind of like drawn out, it's fine. It's more about completing these steps in order to get to what it is you want, whatever it is. Like if you want to be in fitness, being in like coding, in animation and everything. In animation, like the first thing you start with is a storyboard. Once you figure out your ideas, you try to like draw them out, and then you go and like you just follow that map. That way, no effort is wasted. And once that like there's no effort being wasted, then it becomes like more efficient work as you go. And once you get that figured out, I don't think you're recording right now. We stopped the recording of a file from getting lost. Please avoid the waste. Hey, I'm not. Hey, that right now I'm talking to Phuc, but I don't think his like your mic is not your mic. Like the whole thing isn't being recorded right now. So let's wait for him to come back in. And yeah, so I was telling you guys, There's this aspect that in animation per se, like once you draw out your map, you just follow it. That way, there's no wasted effort. Like, and it makes everything simpler. Hey, how's it going? Welcome back.
Sorry about that. I just ran out of batteries
It's
in my
good.
laptop because I'm
Yeah,
using my
yeah.
laptop.
Right now we're good.
Okay, so I was talking about like individual uh, versus. Did you lose the stuff from last time, or are you
No, we're
good?
good.
I think
Yeah,
we're
it's
good.
fine.
Okay. So anyway, I was saying that what you need to do is you need to build a breadth of knowledge and be a Renaissance man, and you have to be willing to keep learning. So I think to become great, right? To become great as an artist, you have to be willing to learn all different types of art. You have to play some jazz, you play some classical music, you play a little bit of reggae, and then you can learn all the different things that can inspire you to maybe take that and then change your own style. And same thing with coding. You have to learn all the different coding styles, and same thing with business and all that. And you have to see how all these things fit together. And there's a boardroom in your head that starts to form. Okay, there's a boardroom where instead of a 5-step process. So let's say you make a video game, Roberto. That's what you're good at, right? Because I think you were talking about how like you have to be really good at one thing. In a video game setting, yes, you have to have an animator. You have to have a designer of a story. You have to have the designer of whatever
Lighting,
the code
texturing,
and all
coding.
that.
Yep, much like.
Right, but that doesn't have to be true if that person is good at all those aspects. It's very rare to get that one unique talent. Someone who can play guitar and sing and write songs, and that's Taylor Swift. She's amazing. She won the Grammys. She's a great artist. Same thing with all the great people out there in terms of artists as well as physicists. So or coders or anything in the world. You're just a human learning more about how the world works. You're just an artist expressing your art in the thing you're really talented at. I'm talented at coding. Taylor Swift is talented at writing songs and music. But there's a talent and a thing you want to say that the world hopefully can benefit from. And so, I'm not sure how much time we have left.
Well, 10 minutes.
But I don't want to talk you off. But I have my mojo back, right? And I was thinking about this and how to kind of bring this up. But yeah, how do you get your mojo back? Well, you got your mojo back, and the way you get your mojo back is you have to have a kick in the ass. And this is the same thing I've been saying to the people I've been kind of like giving advice to, right? So your brain, think of it as a computer, okay? Your computer has these threads, these things that are running in the background. For example, I'm looking at you right now, and there's a thread for like the microphone, listening to the microphone and recording the video, all that stuff. And then these threads, you notice that your computer sometimes slows down because there's a thread that's running that's kind of like you shouldn't have this thread running.
Yeah.
That's an emotion. That's an emotion where you're trapped in an infinite loop by some type of karma. So the karma you're working through is either you did something wrong to somebody emotionally, you did something that you regret, but basically all these people, or even myself, we have this karma where we just go in these loops of self-doubt, of blaming God for not giving me my due when I work so hard, and all these things. And I realized, you know what? I always said to this myself, if I'm full shit, I mean, it was the journey that mattered, and I was always happy the entire time. And only at this one instant was I like pissed off. It didn't last that long. And I said, you know what? Get off my ass and go back. But then, you know what happened is, even though I said that and I got back up, I didn't bring back with me my mojo.
Okay. So just like
So I got punched in the face.
a reflex. You just got back.
Right. And I realized that you can never get your mojo back. You can never get your mojo back. What you can do is you can adapt and get better. So what you can do is you can change your style. So my style used to be I would go in at 10 and work till 6. And it was based on time and effort. Okay? And I realized that I can't do time and effort anymore. It has to be based on results and rewards. Okay? So if I say, okay, today I have a list of 10 things that I know need to be done by 6 p.m. for Mass Realty or for Phuc Labs or whatever. Phuc Labs started with a list of 100.
Okay.
And I said, I don't even care about the time frame. I know I'm talented. I'll finish this album as fast as I can. I'm going to take my time. I'm going to enjoy it. This guy's got to be fun. It can't be something that I regret going into work every day, because that's what happens when you lose your mojo. You don't want to work. So you got to have a reward system because you are that badass. Okay. So for you, 15 minutes of work is actually a lot more than anyone else. It's actually not 15 minutes of work. It's 15 minutes where you lay down the track, but it's about 15 hours of thinking about that track.
Yes.
Like an artist. So it feels like you're not working. It feels like you're lazy. And I used to have this guilt.
Man.
Because I was lazy. I was getting lazy in terms of my older years, and I realized it wasn't laziness. It was wisdom. And I've been learning more about the science behind this stuff. Okay, behind imagination, behind opening yourself to the quantum realm, behind the great thoughts that come into our reality. Now, those great thoughts are like notes that you have to kind of like tune into. And those notes are in your head all the time, playing music. As you play with your kids, as you eat food, as you enjoy the sunset, as you listen to music.
Yep.
There are random things that happen in your life that take your calculator, which is your computer, and access it randomly files on your computer. And then those files, when they get accessed, are like neurons firing songs in your head. So there's a spatial and temporal aspect to it, where like when you turn this thought on, the thought of what's for dinner, that's going to play a song. And it's going to last a little longer than, let's say, the thought for something else, because you're kind of hungry.
Yes.
Right? So there's some moments where you have those thoughts. But at the same time, you're thinking about, the pasta you're eating for dinner and how it's kind of curly and these noodles. And then you think about string theory for physics. And you're like, holy shit, there's a meatball in pasta. So string theory, there's got to be this ball, and you can come up with this cosmic ball idea and cosmic ball theorem. I'm just giving you an example of something random. That's an example of me randomly opening myself to imagination. So imagination is when you have knowledge of 2 or 3 things and you mix it together in a song. And that song is unique to you or your head, because not everyone can play those songs. I can't play the physics song if I'm not a physicist.
Yep.
I can't play the spaghetti song if I never ate spaghetti, because I don't eat spaghetti, because I'm coding and I'm drinking this nasty thing called Solo and Green. Do you see how the developers drinking these powders, and like I'm not going to eat? It's too much time.
Yeah. Like it's pretty intense, man. Like sometimes you can't waste time.
No, dude.
It's wrong.
You won't know what spaghetti is at that point.
Yeah.
And you won't invent the spaghetti and meatball string theory.
True. It's about keeping this openness.
Yes. And what you do is you just do one thing a day. That's the other thing. Okay. And here's why I realize you have to do one thing a day. It doesn't have to be big. Sometimes it's big, sometimes it's small. I realize imagination is not something you do over a course of time. Imagination is when you put 10 things together and you're about to go on stage and you realize that 3 of it is shit. 7's going to go, and then you're going to add 1 random thing that you just had that moment of brilliance that day, and now it's going to be 8 things instead of 10 things. 1 being new, 7 being things that are super core, and 3 you just threw away. You ever have that moment?
Sometimes. Yeah, just like...
You're ready to go on a date, and you have all these things to say to the girl,
I was like,
or whatever. You have a moment where you're going to have this big presentation, and then right before the presentation, you throw away about 30% of it, you keep 70% of it, and you have 1 maybe good idea that's kind of new every once in a while. Mm-hmm. And that one actually worked out.
And you pitch it, see what's up.
2 new ideas. That's how it always works in your brain. So then that sense of urgency, okay, you also have to realize is also a prize for really smart people. So I didn't realize how much I prize the last minute I pulled it through because I'm freaking badass. Because it's an ego thing. I didn't know the ego. The ego wants you to win, but win in a fashion that's awesome, that's cool, that makes you feel good about yourself. So what if you're a deliberate person, I feel so awesome because I have 50 spreadsheets, and that's how I got my method.
Okay.
My self-awareness is I feel like God fucked me, God screwed me, so I'm not going to work that hard. I'll work the minimum I need to get the results until the balance of power goes the other way and I start having faith again. And I thought, that's okay, fine. Let's deal with that for now. Because you know what, you're kind of bruised. But you're just kind of fighting yourself because God is you. You're just God, right? Whatever. You're just arguing with yourself. But let you be temperamental. But let's take one step forward, and every day do something small, and become something a little bit bigger, and you build the confidence that this isn't so bad. That I'm not going to work from 10 to 6 again, and nothing's going to happen. I'm going to work a little bit smarter this time. And as I do things, they'll get the results. If they don't, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to change to something else. And then all of a sudden, you realize you just dropped 3 things out of your life. You keep the 7 things that are really core. You add 2, 3 things that are amazing. And now you got your mojo back.
Yeah. It's like finding happiness.
That's how I got my mojo back. So you get your mojo back because also someone challenges you. But also maybe someone comes in your life and inspires you. You're like, hey, this person is a young version of me. And you risk it on them. And then you fail because that person didn't give you what you want. And to some degree, that's what happened to me too, which is I invested and mentored a ton of people.
Yeah, I know.
And sometimes it didn't work out. One or 2 ways. One is maybe they weren't capable, right? And the other way was maybe they didn't give me the respect or expectation of love that I wanted back. And maybe the relationship wasn't what I thought it was. It was more of a professional relationship. Whereas for them, that was it. And for me, it was like
you're investing yourself.
And more in the professional. Yeah. And some people, someone said to me, hey, look, I don't do that because I want to be clear with you. I separate the two, and maybe over the course of years, we can be friends, but not over the first 4 or 5 years because I don't have that boundary crossed. And I realized that that's okay. And now I treat people like, hey, look, we're professionals. I'm an artist. Mm-hmm. I'm going to do this solo track. But when I bring you in, there'll be certain rules, and I won't bring everyone in. But that's okay because it's my band.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
And I'm not going to lose control of the narrative anymore. Because now I realize that, like, hey, you got to go into the valley and fight Darth Vader and destroy Darth Vader, and then you can rebuild the Republic. But you have to be brave enough to go in there, put your neck on the line, say you're brave enough, go out there and do that. I'm going to do that with Master Realty next. I already did that with Phuc Labs. I'm coding some stuff for Phuc Master Realty. I think it'll be really fast because I've been thinking about it for a while and put it down on paper. Okay. I have this track in my head. And thank you for listening, Phucsters. Hopefully that gives you some insight into Genius and how they're hopefully evenly distributed through you guys too. And maybe you can copy a little bit what Roberto and I try to do to achieve that. I'm not saying we're geniuses all the time, but I think I have moments of genius.
We have
I'm not genius.
Or sparks.
I was an idiot for the last year trying to do this square, circle and a square, and I admitted it. And sometimes being brave enough to say you're wrong is also...
Yes. It's a hard thing to do, man. Better. It's a hard thing to do. And it's not given to everybody.
No, my game was messed up.
Yeah. Comes with time.
But anyway, thanks, guys. Hopefully that's a useful hour for you. And we'll talk about other stuff like aliens. By the way, I'll actually say one thing about aliens.
Let's hear it.
It's about to happen.
How about?
To happen. Disclosure. I was watching a lot of stuff recently. And all signs point to disclosure happening in the next 1 to 2 years. Where we are going to find out about the aliens that have been here a long time, how the pyramids were built by aliens, mm-hmm. and how they were portals, how they were healing centers and portals. We'll find out that we are not the first civilization on Earth to have gone to this level of technology. There have been other civilizations who have spiritually not attained the level that hopefully we have, where we can move into the Galactic Federation.
I don't think it's going to happen.
Because the aliens have already blessed us. They already want us in the Federation. They're giving us the green light. That's why the government is going to disclose it. NASA is going to disclose it. Academia is going to disclose it. I'm telling you guys beforehand. Okay?
I think if it does happen, everything is going to collapse. Because what
It's
happens?
not going to collapse.
What happens if the imagine, let's say, like, you know, the aliens, and they all show you elite people or like the power dynamics, then everybody's gonna feel screwed.
No. Look at Aaron Rodgers.
Okay.
You should look up the Aaron Rodgers podcast episode that he just did recently with Marcus Arby. But he took psychedelics, and that's how he became the MVP over the last 2 years in a row, because he did ayahuasca.
Oh, yeah, I've
And
been
he
there.
came to the spiritual awareness. So what's happening is all the rich folks, the celebrities, Demi Lovato, politicians even, famous people, they like to take these drugs that are cool. Guess what's a cool new drug to do? Ayahuasca, psychedelics, shrooms.
Shrooms and
Now-
psychedelics, I can get it. Ayahuasca is a very purging thing.
Well, ayahuasca is psychedelics. You know
Yeah.
what ayahuasca is, right?
Yeah, I've done it.
No, but you know the scientific difference?
Oh no, I just know it purges like the hell out of you. Like people are throwing
Okay.
up buckets.
Absolutely. So this is actually, because ayahuasca is a natural way to do what psychedelics do, is actually more powerful
Yeah, it's
in a
good.
couple ways. Scientifically, there's a reagent in there. The reagent cancels your body to basically process the psychedelic psilocybin. So psilocybin is a thing that makes you basically go through the psychedelic experience.
Okay.
But your body breaks it down very quickly. Okay? So the ayahuasca process is actually two chemicals working together. One to make you have the psychedelic experience, and the other one to prevent your body from breaking it down so it lasts longer. Okay? So that's a huge difference between ayahuasca and psychedelics. Psychedelics, it'll be a 15-minute high, a 10-minute high. Ayahuasca will last all night. And you can truly go and talk to the aliens.
Yeah.
It's like going and visiting France for like 8 hours. Versus like a 15-minute stop with psychedelics. Ayahuasca is 8 hours in France. You can do a lot, in Paris. You can probably figure out like half the city by then.
Yeah.
And you have after like 1-2 meals, chat with some people, figure it out, the landscape, understand that realm, understand yourself, because what you're doing is you're computing. Your brain is a computer,
Yep.
and the computer needs to compute without your keyboard and your monitor and everything. It has to compute inward. It has to resolve the infinite loops that you need to resolve in your emotions and stuff, because it has to compute that, because that's the only thing left to compute. When you go to the psychedelic realm, all these things are based on the same principle. You have a consciousness that never stops computing. You're always thinking about the thing in front of you. So if the thing in front of you goes away, and that thing in front of you goes away, and that thing in front, then all the stuff that gives you normal input, the eyes, the ears, the feeling, all that goes away. And that's what ayahuasca and all those things do. Then the only thing your computer can compute is your emotions. Your emotions and the infinite loops of karma, of regret, and then you work out how to be a better person. And that's what I'm trying to say, dude. This is a good thing. The elites are taking these party drugs called ayahuasca and Thai psychedelics that make them really more spiritual and better people. And that's why the aliens are ready.
Let's see what's up.
Hopefully you guys are ready for the future. We'll talk more about these things in the future, but I want to let you guys go. It's been a long episode. And hopefully you enjoy these episodes, because it's a little bit personal, a little bit work, a little bit spiritual,
a bit of everything. It's a
a
mixed
little
bag.
bit you can take away. Thanks, Phucsters.
Take care.
Maybe there'll be one more extra Phucster after this week.
See you guys
Subscribe
next time.
and share with your friends if you can. Thanks.
At the bottom.